the emptiness that won't let go. You're praying, but it feels like Allah isn't answering anymore. And deep down, you're starting to wonder if He even sees you. You used to feel something. In Salah, in Dua, in the Qur'an. But now, it's just repetition. Movements, words, routine. You smile with your family. You talk with your friends. But inside, there's a silence so loud, it drowns your soul. You tell yourself, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's stress. But your chest is heavy, and the nights feel longer than they should. You keep asking, why do I feel so far from Allah even when I'm trying? Let me tell you this and hold it. That emptiness, it's not a curse. It's a call. Because Allah revealed an entire surah just for this feeling. A surah for the heart that feels abandoned. For the soul that thinks it's been forgotten. And tonight, it's your turn to hear it. You asked Allah for help. Once, twice, 100 times. But no change came. Only silence. You whispered your dua in the quiet hours of the night. You raised your hands after Salah. You tried to fix your heart. Fix your habits. Fix your iman. But nothing changed. Nothing moved. No signs. No shift. Just stillness. And then the thoughts crept in. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe Allah has turned away. You still pray, but not with the same heart. You still remember Allah, but it feels forced. You still listen to Qur'an, but it washes over you like background noise. And the most dangerous thing starts to happen. You stop expecting mercy. You stop expecting closeness. You start to walk in faith, but with a numb heart. But listen carefully now. What no one told you is this. Even the Prophet, the most beloved to Allah, felt this silence. He felt the weight of waiting. He feared the distance. And he asked himself, has my Lord left me? By the morning light. That's how Allah broke the silence. The Prophet was hurting. Revelation had stopped. His enemies mocked him. Your Lord has left you. Day after day, nothing. No words. No verses. No comfort. And then it came. A surah. A message. A sonrise inside the soul. Allah didn't start with rules. He didn't begin with commands. He started with light. With warmth. With a whisper that wrapped the heart like a blanket. Your Lord has not left you. And He has not forgotten you. Do you understand what that means? It means that silence, that pause, that empty season where you felt abandoned, it wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. Allah never left. He was letting you arrive at the only place where His voice would truly heal you. Rock bottom. You gave up on yourself. But Allah never gave up on you. Not for a second. You thought the silence meant rejection. You thought the distance meant He stopped loving you. But that's not how Allah works. When you were lost in distractions, He was patient. When you broke your promises, He still covered you with mercy. When you stopped showing up, He never left. The Quran never said life would be painless. But it did promise this, that with every hardship comes ease. Not after, not later, but with it. Meaning, that pain in your chest, that spiritual emptiness, that quiet collapse you carry behind your eyes. Even inside that, Allah planted a doorway. And Surah Ad-Duha, it's the knock you've been waiting for. You gave up on yourself. But Allah never gave up on you. Not for a second. You thought the silence meant rejection. You thought the distance meant He stopped loving you. But that's not how Allah works. When you were lost in distractions, He was patient. When you broke your promises, He still covered you with mercy. When you stopped showing up, He never left. The Qur'an never said life would be painless. But it did promise this, that with every hardship comes ease. Not after, not later, but with it. Meaning, that pain in your chest, that spiritual emptiness, that quiet collapse you carry behind your eyes. Even inside that, Allah planted a doorway. And Surah Ad-Duha, it's the knock you've been waiting for. And what is coming will be better than what was lost. Not maybe, not hopefully, but promised. Allah didn't just tell the Prophet, I haven't left you. He said, what comes next will be better. Imagine that. In the middle of darkness, Allah didn't just comfort him. He gave him a future, a reason to hope, a reason to breathe again. And that promise? It wasn't just for him. It's for the girl who cries herself to sleep but smiles all day. It's for the man who goes to Jumu'ah but feels like a hypocrite inside. It's for the one who says, Ya Allah, I don't even know what to ask for anymore. And yet, Allah still says, what's coming will be better. Not because of you, but because He is the one writing your story. Didn't I find you lost and guide you? Didn't I find you broken and hold you? This isn't just comfort. It's a reminder. Allah doesn't just say, you'll be okay. He says, you've already been through worse and I was there. Think back. That night you thought would destroy you. You survived. That sin you thought would define you. You changed. That heartbreak you thought you'd never recover from. Look where you are now. Allah is telling you, I guided you when you had no one. I gave when no one else could. You forgot me, but I never forgot you. The same Lord who carried you then is the one speaking to you now. Through this surah, through this moment, through this pain that will not last. You thought Allah had forgotten you. But how could the one who created your tears ever ignore them? We live in a world that forgets fast. 1 week you're needed. The next, you're left on seen. Even your closest friends don't always notice the silence. Even family may miss the sadness in your eyes. But Allah, He never misses a heartbeat. Not a tear. Not a whisper. Not a single moment of your exhaustion passes without being recorded. You may have prayed quietly. You may have cried where no one saw. But the one who named Himself the most merciful, He saw it all. And in Surah Ad-Duha, He says, your Lord has not forsaken you, not abandoned, not punished, not forgotten, just being prepared for something you can't see yet. And when it comes, you'll understand why the silence was necessary. You begged Allah to fix it. But He made you wait. Not because He didn't love you, but because He did. You kept asking, again and again, Ya Allah, please. Ya Allah, I can't take this anymore. But nothing came. Not the answer. Not the fix. Not the peace. And so you assumed the worst. Maybe He's angry with me. Maybe I'm not chosen. But here's what you didn't see. The delay was mercy. Allah wasn't ignoring you. He was protecting you from what you couldn't see. That job you didn't get, that person who left, that plan that collapsed. What if you got it and it broke you worse than you are now? Allah doesn't just give when you ask. He gives when it's right, when your heart is ready, when the timing won't harm your akhirah. And sometimes, He holds it back long enough. So you stop running to people and finally run to Him. You stopped making dua. Not because you stopped believing, but because you didn't know what to say anymore. You open your hands, and nothing comes out. Not words, not tears, just silence. You stare at the prayer mat, and your chest is full, but your lips stay still. Ya Allah, you already know. And that becomes the only thing you can offer. But here's the beauty. That silence is still worship. Allah doesn't need your eloquence. He doesn't wait for the perfect words. He sees your pause. He counts your sighs. He writes down the shaking of your hands as you try to lift them. And even when you say nothing, He answers what your heart was trying to scream. Surah Ad-Duha didn't come because the Prophet spoke. It came because he felt. And so do you. And so will your answer. Even the longest night ends. And so will this. You've lived with the darkness for so long. You've started to believe it's permanent. That maybe this numbness is your new normal. That maybe Allah wrote you as the exception, the one who won't be healed. But let me remind you of a truth from the Qur'an itself. Hardship is not your identity. It's a season. And no season lasts forever. Allah said, with hardship comes ease. Not once, twice, in the same passage. Why? Because when you're in pain, you need to hear it more than once. You need to hear, this isn't who you are. This isn't how your story ends. Maybe you're still in the middle of the night. But dawn always comes. And so does healing. And so does Allah. In every tear you cried alone. You weren't. There were nights you couldn't sleep. And no one knew. There were days your chest ached. And you smiled anyway. You walked through crowds, family dinners, prayer rows. And still felt invisible. But here's what was real the entire time. Allah was closer than every person you thought understood you. He heard the dua you whispered in bed, half asleep. He counted the silent tears you wiped away before anyone saw. He walked beside you when you begged for strength. And then stood back up pretending you were fine. You were never invisible. You were never abandoned. Allah says in the Qur'an, I am near. And Surah Ad-Duha, it came not just to comfort the Prophet. It came to comfort you. To whisper, even in your loneliest moments, I was there. You don't have to fix everything today. Just start. Healing doesn't mean becoming perfect overnight. It means praying Fajr again. It means opening the Qur'an again. It means talking to Allah, even if your voice shakes. It's not about becoming the version of you that never sins. It's about becoming the version that always returns. Surah Ad-Duha was sent when the Prophet was in deep sadness. And it didn't end with, "Be stronger." It ended with, "So as for the orphan, don't oppress him. And as for the one who asks, don't turn them away." In other words, get up. Keep going. Be light for others, even when you're healing yourself. You don't have to be whole to be worthy. You don't have to feel ready to be seen by Allah. Just take one sincere step, even if your legs tremble. That's how healing begins. Your pain doesn't mean He stopped loving you. In fact, it may be the sign that He loves you most. Asterisk. We've been trained to think love only looks like comfort. That if Allah loves us, life should feel easy. But that's not what the Quran teaches. Look at those He loved most. Yusuf, betrayed, abandoned, imprisoned. Yunus, alone in darkness, inside the belly of a whale. Maryam, isolated, in labor, under a tree. And the Prophet Muhammad, his heart broken again and again. But in all their pain, they were never outside His love. In fact, their pain became the reason they came closer. You may be hurting. You may feel lost. But Allah is not repelled by brokenness. He draws near to those who are cracked open, because only they know what it means to be truly held. You are not loved because you're strong. You are loved even while you're weak. You made it through. Now give from the heart that survived. Allah didn't let you survive for nothing. You didn't cry in the dark just to go back to silence. The surah ends with this call. And as for the one who asks, do not turn them away. Meaning, you've been empty, so now you understand what others feel. You felt forgotten. So now, remember those who think no one sees them. You've cried alone. So now, sit next to someone in their sadness. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to give from the heart that Allah carried through the fire. You're not here just to heal. You're here to heal others too. This surah wasn't revealed to the Prophet only. It was revealed for every heart that forgot how to feel. You weren't just listening to a story. You were remembering something your soul had buried. Surah Ad-Duha wasn't random. It was mercy encoded into words. A divine message sent centuries ago, but aimed at your emptiness today. Allah knew. He knew there would come a day when you'd feel numb, when your prayers would feel hollow, when your heart would ache for meaning, when you'd scroll through reminders but still feel lost. So He wrote this surah and let it travel across time, pain, and people, just to find you. And now that you've heard it, don't forget what it whispered to you. Your Lord has not abandoned you, and the future will be better than the past. And the one who carried you before is still here. Let that be enough to begin again.